Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular city council meeting for January 28th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Adler.
Here.
Councilmember Joanette.
Present.
Councilmember Rubio.
Here.
Councilmember Veros.
Here.
Mayor Armstrong.
Here. All right, if you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, next item, please.
Item 3, announcements. 3.1, changes and additions to the agenda. There is one change to the agenda this evening. Item 6.1, legislative updates from Congressman DeSaulnier. That item will be deferred to a future council meeting as the congressman was ill and unable to make the meeting this evening. Item 3.2, if you'd like to speak under public comment or an item or regarding an item on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room. Item 4, public comment.
Okay, at this time, public comment is the public's permitted to address the city council on any non-agenda item related to the business of the city council. Items that are on the consent calendar, including a request to pull an item from the consent calendar and the reason why you wish to pull the item or items. Please note that the decision to remove the item from the consent calendar is strictly at the discretion of the city council. Public can address us on requests for future agenda items. We have no special presentation tonight, so nothing on that. And the public can address us on items that are not on the agenda that are within the city council's jurisdiction. Do we have any written comments that
I do not have any written comments this evening, and I do have one speaker card.
One speaker card. Let's have the speaker, please.
Shirag Kathrani.
Okay. Evening, Shirag.
Hello. Congratulations, Adler. So I want to cover this appointment process, which has been criticized by myself, and we have number of petitions. The petition, which has around 230 signatures, I had shared earlier. But the residents don't have to petition for get a response. As a representative, you have a responsibility to respond to the residents in a clearer way. As well as I would need to highlight, there was also an article in Danville San Ramon about the appointment process today for a different aspect as well, how the process worked. So I would recommend city needs to reconsider on their appointment process and come out clearly on the appointment process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And just to comment on that, if just direct your attention to tonight's minutes, it does indicate in there the specific names and numbers of the people who did speak out during or provide a written comment.
Well, in that aspect, there's still not a clarification from the city why the voice of people was not taken into consideration.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Any other speakers?
No, that was the last speaker card.
Okay, then I will close public comment. And next item, please.
Item 5, consent calendar.
I move the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion, Councilmember Veros, second, Councilmember Rubio. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, let's go ahead and take a vote. Did you indicate your set? Oh.
No.
Okay, so let the kind of record show that the second was by Rubio, even though up here it indicates by Councilmember Plano. So there we go. Thank you for correcting that.
I'll fix it.
I'm away. Okay. I'm not away. I'm here. I voted. I voted yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Get the cobwebs out here. All right. Next item, let's see. Special presentations. We have none. And so no deferred consent items, no unfinished business. We're on to new business. Item 9.1, consideration of and direction to staff regarding the recruitment for the vacancy on the Planning Commission. Staff report by City Clerk Christina Franco.
Good evening. So during the last city council meeting on January 14th, under matters initiated, Councilmember Joanette proposed that the candidates that were interviewed for the City Council District 2 vacancy be given the opportunity to apply for the Planning Commission vacancy. We currently do have a vacancy on the Planning Commission due to a resignation in the middle of the term. So this position was put out. We did solicit applications in the December timeframe, and by the close of the application period, we did receive 9 applications. So this would be filling the vacancy for the remainder term, which would be June of 2027. So I'll turn it back over to the council for discussion regarding opening the recruitment again for this vacancy.
Okay, well, council, it's over to us. And we need to decide how we want to proceed with this. I definitely have an opinion on this. I'll save that till the end, but let me start with Councilmember Joanette. You brought this up, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I brought it up. Thank you, Mayor. I brought it up initially since we did the appointment for the vacancy for council member District 2. And given the conversation and comments we had with the folks that we were interviewing, we mentioned to them, it would be vital if they initiated and worked with the city in some capacity. And I believe that closing the application process, not intentionally, but would not give them the opportunity to try out for those, to apply for those positions and those roles. So I thought it would be, especially given our comments and our feedback to the interviewees, to the candidates, that to involve themselves in city government, it would be appropriate that we did extend the application period for the Planning Commission.
Okay, I'd like to hear some other council members' thoughts on this.
I have a question. Christina, is the term, when the term is going to expire?
For this vacancy, the term expires June of 2027.
2027. Okay, thank you.
Well, let me ask another question then. As I understand it, we also have 3 additional terms that will be expiring in June of this year
Correct.
for Commissioners Wallace, Curtis, and Alpert. And so we'll be going through an interview process here in the next couple months again.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I think this is a good, thanks to Council Member Junet for bringing that up in our last meeting, so that we can give opportunity to all other candidates who applied for council. And definitely they all want to serve the city, and this is a good opportunity for all of them to apply and go through the process. I heard like we got 9 applications. Yeah, so that's the beauty of our community. We always get pretty good applications. So thanks for everyone who applied for this position. I'm looking forward for the next steps in the interview process.
Can I ask another question before we move on? You made reference to the District 2 process that we had, but as I recall, the application period for the Planning Commission for which we got the 9 applicants actually closed prior to that whole process. Is that correct?
It actually closed on January 5th because the vacancy didn't occur until December 10th. Was when the past commissioner gave his resignation. So we opened it up on the 12th and the application deadline was January 5th.
Okay. And so that, again, prior to us deciding on who to even interview at that point. Okay. So other thoughts?
Just one clarification on that. So the 9 applicants are after the extension.
The 9 applicants are from December 12th until January 5th.
Jennifer, oh, so now we want to, I thought in our last call, we already extended it, right?
No, there's been no extension.
No extension on that one. Okay.
That was the regular application period.
Regular application period. Okay.
And we had nine applicants. That's a pretty significant number of applicants to
That's
interview.
pretty good number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for clarification.
Thoughts? Anyone? Otherwise, I'll throw my stuff out there.
No, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both options. But mostly, again, just by default, I would always aim to be more inclusive than exclusive. So, but as long, and we may, if we reopened it to allow some of those candidates that applied for the council vacancy, we would be opening it to everybody again as well. So it would be equitable in that regard. So, yeah, thank you.
Richard, anything?
Yeah, I think, if we're going to open it to the folks that applied for the District 2 position, then we would need to open it to everybody, right? So it'd be fair. I mean, reopen the process to what date would it be finished? How long is that window going to be? Or does that not make any sense?
Yeah. So I think typically we keep 14 days. Is it 14 days or whenever we open?
For the commissions, we typically go 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, I think to have more really good candidates, is always a good thing, So I would go along with Councilmember Swinett to open it up like that.
Okay, well, I'll throw my stuff out there and maybe I'm going to be the kind of the just provide an alternate perspective here. But we did have 9 applicants during the regular application period. So we have 9 qualified candidates to consider. And as I mentioned before, we do have in just a couple months, we're going to be going through this process again because we have 3 more slots that will need to be considered. So as you just heard, it would be at least a 2 to 3 week additional delay just to open up the application period and then get it to a council meeting for us to consider. We're almost bumping up against when the next round of applications are going to have to go out. So my thought is, we did have a lot of good candidates in the District 2 application process, but they will have just as much opportunity to apply for the summer vacancies as the vacancy that we are currently talking about right now. One of the things that's concerning me right now is that we don't have a 5th planning commissioner right now. And we are going through a lot of land use issues right now. And there's a lot of developments that are coming forward. We're soon going to be going through a general plan amendment process. With the general plan amendments, that requires, because of Measure G, which our San Ramon voters approved in 2002, that requires a 4/5 vote of the commission and a 4/5 vote of the city council after 3 public meetings for both the council and the commission. So if we don't have 5 commissioners, we're not going to get to the 4/5 vote if something and comes up in all this time that we extend, if it extends even further and further. I'm inclined to just set an interview timeline to do the interviews of the 9 applicants we have, select the commissioner to fill the current vacant seat, and then let the process play on schedule for the summertime applications. And that ensures we get a commissioner seated right now. So we've got 5 and it gives that commissioner, that new commissioner that we would select, time to get in the seat, get accustomed to, familiar with all the issues that are going to come before the commission. And we've got a seasoned more seasoned commission prior to having to consider the next vacancy, which, and there may not, that's only three, we don't know which of those three commissioners, if any, will not reapply. Maybe they'll all reapply, but that's the next timeline for which we have to go through this process. So I'm inclined to go with what we got. Let's get the interview scheduled, pick our commissioner, get him in the chair, and then we'll go through this again in another 2 months or so.
And for the next recruitment, we typically start recruiting end of April and May. April-May timeframe is when we start putting out the information to solicit for applications.
I think that makes sense for efficiency purposes, and especially given the schedule, the timeline that we have ahead right now. That might be a little more efficient way to do things. And I definitely agree, as it was mentioned by Councilmember Rose, we should absolutely, if you haven't had a chance to be involved in the committees or the commissions, definitely apply. That's how you start to get some of the background knowledge and experience to apply for the council or run for council at a later date.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mayor, for sharing your thought. I think it's very rational, and it makes sense for us because of the urgency and the workload that our commission is going through right now. So it makes sense that your proposal seems to be a good idea for us to proceed with this current batch of applicants. But then, as we are anyway going to get future openings, and as you said, Planning Commission is very important. It's a key organization within the city. They are the one who take a lot of workload on land use policies. So it's important that we have someone to be there and get some experience, as Mayor Armstrong mentioned. So I think I like your proposal.
Yeah, and again, all those District 2 applicants that we saw, as Councilmember Rubio just said, they all demonstrated the potential to potentially serve in commission slots or other committees and get some of that additional experience. So I think, if they do want to be on a commission, they will have that opportunity again here in just a couple of months. But before we kind of move it to any kind of a motion and everything, we're still having a discussion.
Yeah.
You've heard some of the additional comments, Councilmember Schwein. I'd like see if you have any concerns or comments to follow up with.
No, I mean, it pragmatically, logically, it makes sense. It was more of a, when we opened up our commentary to the folks, I felt it would be disingenuous if we didn't extend it. And maybe my timeline was off. Maybe I thought it expired that Friday. The application process, where after we selected Councilmember Adler, because we selected, we did the interview on the 5th, right? January 5th or
The 10th.
10th.
the 10th. We did it on the 10th, and then the selection happened that night. So that's when I thought that the application period for the Planning Commission had expired was that night, but it expired the 5th.
Mhm.
I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was 30 days from the 10th to the 10th. Okay. But no, I still believe it. If there's an opportunity to extend it to folks, we should do it. But I understand the timeline. I understand the pressing issue. Yeah.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the council? How do you want to proceed on this?
So I would like to move the motion to start interview process. Do we have any timeline when we want to do this interview process?
No, not at this time.
Or is any proposal on that? Like, do we need to go through the agenda on that one, or can we propose today what date we can start the interview
Well,
process?
there is and if our community development director would like to come up and talk about some timelines that are coming up for, sorry for the impromptu calling you up, but we do have joint planning commission council meetings coming up where we will need votes, and that's coming up quickly, I think on the 11th. And there's also a question of potentially agendizing this item to talk about how the council wants to proceed. That's not what's on the agenda tonight. Oh, boy, yeah. So go ahead, Debbie, with the timeframe.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Yes, so the commission, the council and the commission, we have a joint session scheduled at 6 p.m. on February 11th and February 25th to consider a general plan amendment. And having 4 members of the commission for that hearing, those 2 hearings is just fine. When it comes to the final vote for the commission, it would be nice to have a fully staffed commission at that point in time. And I think tentatively that date is the third week of March for the commission action. We certainly can delay that vote to ensure we have a full commission at that time, and any new commissioner appointed would then be asked to review the tapes of the meeting of the joint sessions, and then we would be bringing that commissioner on board, as we always do, to share with them what happened with the project and answer questions and kind of work them through the process for that. And then going forward, we do have the climate action plan, which is a majority vote of the commission, recommendation to the council. And we have the Chevron Park project that will be starting later this summer too. So it'd be nice to get someone on sooner than later to get that person up to speed with knowing we have, potential for changeover in June and July with the 3 vacancies, potential recruitment for the vacancies that are be coming up because of terms ending. So.
So
Right.
for this evening, it would be, we can't discuss the process, but we would have that agendized probably for the next meeting in February, to have an agenda item for the council to discuss how you want to proceed with interviews. Do you want to do all 9? Do you want to rank them and select a certain number? And that needs to be agendized because that's not on the agenda tonight. So we'll have that on the 11th. So the schedule would be to take direction tonight. If the council directed to open it up again, then we would bring it back to the council with all the information about how to conduct interviews.
Okay. I mean, we can't make that decision this evening. It just seems like we can provide direction. This is about the planning commission, recruitment for the vacancy on a planning commission. We make a decision that we want to move. We've got a motion, but no second, that we move forward and do interviews. And we can't set a no later than, have somebody in place before the commission needs to make their Measure G vote on the general plan amendment that's coming up.
Sure.
Sometime before that.
I think there's 2 different topics that we're addressing. The process that we're proposing is to bring the item to the council to talk about how you want to conduct the interviews. I think that's separate from what you're saying with the time frame tonight. So I was talking about that would come before the council on February 11th. But I think with that time frame that Debbie described, we will definitely have the time between now and that meeting in March to get somebody in place. I think the next step is to bring this back to the council to talk about how the interviews are conducted. How many people, the actual physical functioning of the interviews, not necessarily the time frame. I know Martin is leaning towards the mic here.
I'm just trying to recall
Right.
when we've kind of had those discussions in the past for other committee selections or commission selections, if we've actually had it on the agenda to talk about that process, or is this unique because we have 9 applicants?
I think in the past, yes, depending on the number of applicants, we have talked about how the council wants to proceed. If you want to interview all 9, how long, similar to the appointment of the council vacancy. So once it gets to a certain number, then we do have to agendize it for the council to discuss if they want to do all 9 in one night, if it's a half hour, 45 minutes, the whole process.
Okay. All right. Anything from the city attorney before we kind of go back to the motion business?
No, I mean, we're here for the limited purpose of determining whether or not to open this up again. But it's okay for the council to give some direction on time and timing. It sounds like we've gotten that direction. And at this point, the motion can just be simply about whether or not to open it up again.
So the motion is not to open. The motion is not to open
But it's on the table.
for this planning commission position. We'll continue with already submitted applicants.
Okay.
I
Do
move
we-
that
Do we have a
motion.
second?
I will second that.
Okay, motion, Veros to take the current applicants and not open up, at this time. Reopen the application period. And second was Rubio, yeah. All right, is everybody in?
No.
Still come on.
So it's just to be clear, this is the motion that, no is, we're not going to proceed with opening.
That's right.
That's
Yeah. Okay, motion passes, then, we've got our 9 applicants and now we have to, we'll get it on the agenda or whatever we need to do to talk about the way forward with the interview timeline and, process.
Yes.
All right. All right, then, moving on to, item 9.2. This is on the city council liaison appointments to our committees, foundations, different regional committees, et cetera. In the staff packet, you've got the, list, of that was consolidated. All of you provided input into me as to what your desires were. I took a look at that. I took a look at things such as kind of variety, exposure to different committees, just kind of changing things around a little bit for those that wanted to, leadership opportunities to either be the chair or the vice chair. Some of you are more have additional time and work schedules to be considered. Some have more or less experience. So I took those into consideration. I put those down. The clerk consolidated that. That's what's before you. There are a couple changes to that, or at least I'll just say one is under the Contra Costa County Transportation Authority, CCTA. That's actually County Connection. That should be, that should have been Councilmember Rubio listed on that. So when we make a motion on these, please consider for CCCTA, that would be Councilmember Rubio instead of me. And then I think we had some concerns on some other items, and I'd like the council members to express your concerns, or we'll open it up for well, ask any questions you have right now, and then I'm going to open it up for public comment, and then we'll get into the discussion business. Any questions?
I have to request one amendment, Mayor, due to a schedule conflict. And I'd like to know if Councilmember Veros would be open to switching as the primary rep for East Bay Regional Parks District and switch with MCE as the primary, if he is okay with that. MCE meets on Thursdays, the third Thursday at 7 p.m. Meets at 9 a.m. on the third Thursday.
So I want to make sure I understand. So you're suggesting you take the primary East Bay Regional Park
Ye-
District
Mhm.
instead of Veros,
Mhm.
and
And-
then Veros takes the MCE as the primary,
Correct.
as your proposal.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll switch.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then let me open up public comment on this side. Do we have any speaker cards or written comment on this?
No.
Okay, I'll close public comment. So any other discussion on this item? Otherwise, we'll go with the two changes, really three changes. That's with Rubio as CCCTA, with Veros as primary MCE, and with Rubio as primary for East Bay Regional Park District.
Sounds good. I move the motion for the appointments of, just give me 1 minute.
Okay, motion, Councilmember Rose.
As per the amendments for CCTA with Council Member Rubio, and for East Bay Parks, Council Member Rubio, and MCE, I'll be taking the MCE one.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and take your vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0 on that. All right, thank you. Next item is election of the mayor pro tem for City of San Ramon. So this is for the vice mayor selection for 2025. And there's no staff report on this. I will just say, when I kind of look at the way we've done this in the past, my experience has been that we have done kind of a rotation. It's based partly on seniority. We do have two new council members. And previously, Councilmember Veros was the vice mayor before I was the vice mayor. And then after me was Councilmember Perkins. Logically, I would say the turn would be for Councilmember Rubio at this point to be the vice mayor for 2025. But I'd like to hear any other discussion on this.
As per seniority, when it is rotates, so Council Member Rubio gets next behind me in the line. So that's how it works. The seniority, whenever someone is coming into the council, when I finish my vice mayor, then Council Member Rubio got into the council. So she gets into line behind me. So as per the process that we use.
So I'm hearing you think that you would be vice mayor for this coming year.
That's right.
Okay.
As per the procedure that we used.
Yeah.
Now, the only concern I have just from, and that I have no problem with that, except the only concern I have is that equally just because a lot of this is just sort of what we have like by habit done is traditionally. The only concern I have is that next year, that being my fourth year serving, I don't know if that's going to pose a problem for me because I have to run for reelection and to be vice mayor the same year or not. Is that a problem in terms of historically? Is that going to impede my ability to serve as vice mayor?
I would ask Attorney
You're asking for-
Martin. As far as I know, there is no such thing, but yeah.
I don't see any legal reason why there would be an impediment to your serving as vice mayor in your fourth year.
Yeah, I can't think of any kind of an impediment either.
Okay,
You would be vice mayor during the timeframe that you would be running for reelection.
okay.
Robert or Richard?
No, I believe both candidates are equally qualified. I'm not as familiar with the process before. I apologize how it worked before. So, but the only thing I could think of is time management as vice mayor if you're running for reelection. That's the only thing I could think of is your scheduling, et cetera.
Yes, the vice mayor really, I think historically has sort of stepped up really is in the event that the mayor is unable to carry out his duties. And hopefully that will not happen. So for the most part, it should be manageable.
I see.
Mhm.
And was it when Mayor Hudson?
Yes,
When he had his,
unfortunately.
so when he had a stroke,
I was the vice mayor And so that did increase my
Yes.
my op tempo, yeah,
Okay.
my schedule
Okay.
quite a bit and stepping up as a mayor. That was a unique situation though.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay.
Otherwise, the vice mayor doesn't have quite as many responsibilities.
I see.
Okay,
I would just go with the protocol and seniority and
okay,
base it on.
okay. So I'm kind of hearing that it would be council member Veros, but can we get a motion? Or, well, let me open it up to public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Not for this item.
Okay, public comment is closed. Then do we have a motion for vice mayor being council member Veros for 2025? Okay, motion, council members Wynot, second, council member Rubio. Please cast your vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Vice Mayor
Thank you.
Sridhar Veros. So that's effective immediately, as far as I'm concerned, because we don't have a vice mayor right now.
Right.
Okay,
Thanks. I'm truly honored. It's great to serve alongside this great council. Every one of these council members, they are so dedicated for our community, and working with you as vice mayor, definitely I'm looking forward for that. And definitely again working with Mayor Armstrong, that will be I'm sure it will be an amazing journey for me. So thank you once again for selecting me for this position.
all right.
We should have went by favorite team. Is it Army or Navy?
I
just-
sorry, I
both.
want to.
Both.
Okay, not going to go there. Well, again, congratulations. And so that'll close out item 9.3. We're on to item 10, city manager and city council member comments and matters initiated. City manager.
Well, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Just a couple quick updates for this evening. One is that substantial progress is being made on the Bollinger Canyon Iron Horse Trail Bridge. Recently, the infill joints were installed on the overcrossing deck, and that involved a concrete truck pumping with a pumping mechanism to deliver concrete up to the deck surface, because now we have a full deck surface. This work was done without, I repeat, without a full road closure. So we were able to avoid one of our potentially anticipated or an anticipated road closure at one point. They were able to do it with lane closures, and it was completed in 1 day. And it's a major milestone because it provides a complete walking surface on the bridge deck. I would like to emphasize at this point, it is not open. The bridge, I repeat, is not open. It's still under construction. So just because we have a walkable bridge deck doesn't mean that it's open. We still anticipate the opening date to be in August of this year. As you can see, there are landscaping features being installed. They're still we'll need to work on the railing. They're still painting it. The lighting needs to be installed. So there's a lot of work left, but really great progress, and we're on track with the bridge. The other reminder is a Lunar New Year celebration will take place on Sunday, February 2nd from 2 to 4 p.m. at the City Center. This event is free and includes dance performances, lion dancers, kung fu demonstrations, and more. The City Center fills up with people on both levels. So if you want to get a good view of the festivities, I recommend getting there early. And with that, that's my update for this evening.
Okay. We are going to go tonight in order of seniority, reverse order of seniority. So we'll start with Councilmember Adler for councilmember comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Starting at the most recent event that I went to, Windermere Ranch Middle School, we had an event this afternoon. It was called Challenge Award ceremony. And unfortunately, Mark DeSonia wasn't able to be there. I think he was probably going to make the awards. But we have so many talented students in San Ramon, and they came up with so many great projects, apps for, food allergies, just almost anything you can think of. They came up with an app, and there was a competition, and we had a winner. So I got a chance to meet the kids and talk to them, and I was very impressed. And also before that, I went to the League of Cities event in Sacramento last week to learn how to do my job better. And a lot of experts there, city managers, mayors, recently elected city council members. So we got a lot of really good training, and I really enjoyed that. Also, actually, the culture and the community event what I went to, which a number of us went to on Sunday, was amazing. Dancing, art, was given a tour by Kathy Hyman, and we have a great facility over there, and a lot of families enjoying the whole day. I mean, there's a lot of joy, a lot of talent in San Ramon, and it was great to see it. So those are my comments.
All right. Thank you. Let me go over to Councilmember Schweinert.
Thank you. We attended the ribbon cutting for the Body Fit training, and Councilmember Rubio and I volunteered to work out for an hour there. I was so sore the next day. But it was a lot of fun. I highly suggest people. It's right behind the library, right next to the Chase Bank Center, and check it out, bodyfittraining.com. Wonderful people, really good workout. So I enjoyed that, and that was on the 17th of the ribbon cutting. And then we had the pleasure of going to the League of Cities last week with Councilmember Adler and City Manager Spadowski and Mayor Armstrong. It was a lot different than I expected. I anticipated it to be death by PowerPoint. It wasn't. It was a lot of engagement, and I was going there really to learn, and came away feeling refreshed and educated, but I also came away feeling a lot proud of the city and the accomplishments we have after hearing a lot of the war stories from other folks in other cities. And we really have a reason to hold our head up high. And if you want to find more, please check out calcities.org. It's free. I didn't know it was free. I didn't know it was free for members to go and access information about other cities, laws, League of Cities. It's really very informative website. So if you have a chance, go check it out. And that was from the 22nd to the 24th. And then we did the Culture in the Community Center. Everyone here attended. We missed you, Councilmember Sridhar. Oh, you were there. Oh, then I came. Then you came after me. It was really very well attended. Kathy, we took a tour of the Doherty Station Community Center, which I found out that you can rent it out. You can lease it out for events, and I definitely go check that out. About the community, I found out that the Nobel Peace Prize I learned from one of the booths from the Azerbaijan country that a Nobel Peace Prize actually originated in Azerbaijan. And I didn't know that. And that was a fun fact that I learned. So it was really very well attended, very well engaged, and a lot of kids really dressed up in costumes and ethnic dancing, and it was really very cultural, very diverse. I enjoyed it a lot, and really good spot up there. So thank you, Mayor. That's it for me.
Okay. Councilmember Rubio.
Okay, so on Friday, January 17th, as was mentioned by Councilmember Joynet, I attended the Body Fit training along with Councilmember Adler as well. But yes, we did the class, and that was quite intense, and that lactic acid buildup was very much felt the next day. But it was a lot of fun. I encourage people to check it out. It's definitely worthwhile. And just to give a little, for our, context for people, it's sort of like a circuit exercise, and it works through like target heart rate for different exercises. And then you get these little like gold, silver, and bronze medal, depending on, basically, did you meet your goal for the day? So it's kind of a motivating kind of environment. Great music too, by the way. So definitely check it out. Monday, January 20th, I attended the PFLAG MLK event, and that was also, again, as usual, every year, very well attended. I think there was, we had some great speeches, some young people who gave great remarks as well. I think it's a great opportunity every year to hear young people express their views and how they perceive the world and how they're experiencing it here in San Ramon. As council members, it's especially important for us to be listening to them, as obviously the decisions we make today impact disproportionately them in the future. And then on Tuesday, January 21st, I attended the Teen Council Advisory Committee. And let's see, I'm so sorry. I have to look at my notes really quick because, sorry, I put them in here, so I apologize. Oops. All right. And so basically, we talked about the Dublin Senior Center Teen Job Fair that will be happening March 1st. There will be resume assistance. And let's see, and you can see vendors. Obviously, there'll be multiple vendors there. The one thing is, last year only one parent was allowed. So this is kind of a fun fact. Parents are actually not allowed to go in. They want this to be an experience for young people to go in and be able to independently go around and have these conversations with prospective employers. And then on February 18th, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. March 8th from 1 to 4, there's a youth advisory committee, Learn from Each Other. It's a Saturday. It's like an opportunity where different youth advisory committees in the Tri-Valley get together and they kind of exchange ideas about, what they're doing. And so they can all benefit from learning from each other and their experiences. And they started a teen wellness again, the ad hoc that was started last year by Gavin. And yeah, that was it. And then on Saturday, January 25th, I attended along with Mayor Armstrong and the American Legion Mount Diablo Post 246 annual crab feed dinner. That was a lot of fun. We got to sort of celebrate our young people who are on the Scouts working. And so it was a great time to honor them and to do a fundraiser and to do, kind of do good, but also, enjoy some time with people in the community. Then Sunday on January 26th was the Culture in the Community celebration at Doherty Station Community Center. And as was mentioned, all of our council members were there, including the mayor, and great event. There was over 40 performances done, multiple booths of different countries across the globe. And so definitely worthwhile. If you didn't make it this year, make it next year. There's a lot to learn. I certainly did myself as well, going around to the different booths. So that's about it. Thank you. Oh, I do actually have one thing, but I do have one matters initiative that I need to do. Would you like me to wait until Councilmember Burrows gives his report?
Yeah, let's go ahead and finish the reports, then we'll
Okay.
come back to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, had a great vacation back in India. Spent time with my parents and family. So all came back with all full of energy. Let's see how it goes this year, 2025. On community side, January 20th, attended our fourth annual MLK Day event, hosted by San Ramon Valley Diversity Coalition and Rewire. Thanks to Rewire, PFLAG is recognized for their services within the community. And thanks to our Parks and Community Services Department, Brad was all there. Thanks for arranging all those chairs and facility so that attendees could able to enjoy. And also good to see Council Member Adler as well as Council Member Rubio for the event. And as Council Member Rubio mentioned, the best thing is, at least for me, was the youth. Their speeches, it's fantastic. We are so blessed to have such a great youth in our community. And the next one is on last weekend, January 26th, attended Culture and Community. Thanks to the leadership of Vanessa Verestin. It's great to see when I was part, like when we started that event as an inaugural event. From there, today we have such an excellent community event to celebrate our diversity. It's great to see all council members attending that and appreciating it, and also celebrating our community diversity. So fantastic leadership there. And once again, thanks to our Parks and Community Services department for all your great work. And then the next one is I want to share about our cricket community. Our US under-19 cricket team, they got qualified to second round of Super 6. And out of 11 players, 4 players in the team are from San Ramon Cricket Association. Yeah, the captain of the team also from San Ramon Cricket Association. So it's a great to see, watching them on the TV while they're playing. It's fantastic, simply fantastic. And then looking forward to see you all next weekend for Lunar New Year. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I had a few meetings and community events. Just after the last council meeting, I met with the Association of Indo-Americans leadership, about 4 individuals. Most of the conversation centered around some of their events, focused on Maya Bazaar. Also, we talked about Holi and National Independence Day and Constitution Day celebrations. From the 16th through the 19th, I went to the annual U.S. Conference of Mayors in D.C., Washington, D.C., attended some sessions on artificial intelligence. There was a lot of discussion on the new administration's immigration policy and impacts. A lot of folks talking about that. Went to some sessions on housing and veteran employment. The President Biden came and spoke to us. And on the 16th, during that time frame, the California mayors went over to the Capitol building, and we met with our senators Padilla and Schiff. Some of the discussions centered around disaster funding. Of course, all the SoCal fires was fresh on everybody's mind. I talked about the federal government's role in providing tax credits for affordable housing. Some concern about risks under the new administration for some of the CDBG grants. A lot of fire insurance discussion, as you can imagine, undergrounding of power lines, funding for fire stations, and the need to establish microgrids to help reduce the numbers impacted by some of the public safety power shutoffs that are occurring. On the 20th, I'd gotten tickets from Congressman DeSaulnier's office. I got tickets for the inauguration. Of course, that went indoors instead of outdoors, so it became a commemorative ticket. But I did go down to the conference center by the Capitol during the inauguration, and there's the National League of Cities and National Association of Counties. They have a conference center down there. We watched all the festivities on big screen TV with other elected officials. As mentioned, from the 22nd to the 24th, I was at the new mayors and council members conference with Councilmember Adler and Zweinat and City Manager Spadowski. I agree. It was good discussion, and some of the topics we covered there included some sessions on land use and land use policies, financial responsibilities, a couple sessions on legal considerations, what a city council, city manager relationship should look like, and good governance and things like that. Had a good discussion on social media and digital communications, as well as getting an update from the League of California Cities legislative team on some of their committees and what their legislative agenda is for 2025. And then we conducted some of the mandatory training on ethics and harassment and things like that. Let's see, Councilmember Rubio mentioned the crab feed and fundraiser, culture and community. That was a great venue. I thought it was the first time over there at the Doherty Station Community Center, but I like the idea that we were showcasing that facility as an art center and having arts kind of things in there with performances and different, there was craft workshops going on upstairs and a lot of great things going on there. So I think that was very successful. Yesterday, I attended the Open Space Advisory Committee meeting. We got an update from the Cal High Hiking Club on what their activities are, what their kind of purpose is, and how they can work with the Open Space Advisory Committee in the future. Got an update on winter and spring Open Space Advisory Committee events. One event is actually occurring this Saturday at the community center here over on Alcosta. A group called Plantify is coming. They'll be talking about natural land history and how to be good stewards of our natural spaces and open space. So if you get a chance, go over there. I believe it starts at 9 o'clock. I'm not going to be able to make it. Hopefully, maybe one of our council members can make it and maybe provide some opening comments, perhaps. Saturday at 9 o'clock at the community center. Yep. We also talked about some of the upcoming hikes in March and April on the Doherty Valley Ridge Trail. And quick update on open space development impact fees and also on the Doherty Valley and Northwest GADS and some of the fire prevention and mitigation techniques that the city does in our open spaces. And then we had a discussion on meeting attendance as well. And then today, I provided a welcome to the Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors who had their annual retreat to talk about their budget, but they did it in the council chambers right here. So I gave them a greeting. I stayed for a little bit through about noon till listening to an economic forecast and then headed out. And then this afternoon, as Councilmember Adler mentioned, was the congressional app award ceremony over at Windermere Ranch Middle School. It truly was inspiring to see all of these apps that these young students, they're middle school and high school age students, they developed some incredible apps, and you can get them on the App Store, on your iPhone and everything, but they had all these storyboards set up and we kind of went around and they told us all about, why they got into this and how they got into this, but it really showcased the importance of STEM education in our community and what our students are doing and just how that can increase their critical thinking skills and decision-making skills and things like that. So it was a really inspiring event. And as I mentioned to the group, the future is bright with all these kids that we have in our community. So, and these weren't just San Ramon students. Most of them were San Ramon students, but it was from across the 10th Congressional District because it was sponsored by Congressman DeSaulnier's office. And with that, that's the end of my remarks. I will go back to now Councilmember Rubio for matters initiated.
Okay, thank you. So the only thing I wanted to mention is, so the Climate Action Task Force has been meeting and they haven't quite finalized the cap but we have a lot of these workshops coming up and I thought it might be a great idea for us to see if we could potentially ask them to prioritize more immediately sort of outlining the charge so that we actually have that information and we can actually discuss it during our workshops and have the ability to flesh that out at that time, as well as when we are considering other committees as well. I thought that would help us really just be more efficient and make a more informed decision with everything that we're doing for the year ahead. That's it.
So, Councilmember Rubio, we can, at a future council meeting, schedule an item for discussion if we do have 3 nodding heads to provide that direction to the Climate Action Task Force. I would also suggest that as part of that discussion, staff can provide an outline for the review of committees and commissions. That has been on the discussed at council goal setting workshops before. We can give you a timeline of how those 2 tasks might interact with that item, if I do have direction from the council to agendize a discussion for this at the next council meeting. So if I see 2 nodding heads.
So one
But
quick question to Councilmember Rubio, just to clarify, I understood. So we want to have sharing the information of our Climate Action Committee in the workshops. I just want to clarify.
No, so basically we gave them 2 charges. One is to go over the climate action plan and work in conjunction with the Planning Commission on what that would look like and some of the more nuanced things of that, make some recommendations. The second charge being obviously that we had asked them to, lay out the charter, the mission, the roles, responsibilities, all of that. We have our workshop that's coming up. We also, may have, are going to be considering having a discussion focused on the committees and the the committees. And so it may be helpful just to have that information so that we can actually see, how it fits into the other ones possibly, and et cetera. So we can be more efficient and actually, optimize that opportunity.
So this is for our city council goals meeting, you're saying? That's when we want them to be part of the presentation.
They won't give a well, they will give us yes, for the chartering and the roles and
During the
responsibilities.
city council goal meeting. Just to make sure.
I think they would actually give it to us in council. Is that correct?
So I don't want to get into we can't have a discussion on this.
No, we
We're just
can't.
kind of looking at
It's
how we
just
want to
to-
proceed with this.
Yeah.
But I will just say that as you said, we gave them 2 charges.
Right.
They haven't finished the first one. And my understanding was they would finish the Climate Action Task Force work. And then the second part would be based on that work, we would evaluate that as well as what their second charge was to come up with the potential for, if there were to be a more permanent task force. But I don't know how we have that discussion if they haven't done the first task yet. And that may be months
Sorry.
more before we get that done. I'm looking over at Debbie
Debbie?
on that.
Well, the thing is I don't think that one is, this is the climate action plan is sort of like one thing and one responsibility in itself. The other one is also, it's kind of like a totally different responsibility in and of itself. It's to just define the mission, the roles and responsibilities. So we just have that information available to us so that when we actually discuss the committees and those other things, we actually have a sense of what they're thinking about. Does that make sense?
So basically, we are going to get their input, feedback on the committees that we are planning to decide.
Right. And it
Okay.
wouldn't just be that. It's more like having a sense, because if we're going to discuss the other committees, how do we know whether, there's overlap or no overlap, or there could be overlap and we have create perhaps something that's a hybrid of, both responsibilities. And so the thing is, we can't do that if we don't have the charter, and we need that charter. And the charter it's not dependent on the cap at all. That's a separate responsibility. So all we're asking for is just to bring that up a little earlier so that we could actually, as a council, be able to move forward and be more efficient.
I understand what you're saying there, but I didn't think that we were going to take a deep dive into all the committees during the council retreat. There may be discussion about how we want to proceed with the phases of the review of the committees, but I don't think we're getting into any bylaws for any committees and making any decisions on keeping, eliminating, consolidating, or anything else at the council retreat.
Right, that will be a series of meetings for that amount of work with the number of committees. We have 22 advisory committees and, combining the commissions with that. So it is quite a bit of work. It will require multiple meetings. And I think that there might be, what I'm hearing is that there's timing issues with when we're considering charges for some committees, while a task force may be tasked with developing a charge. And I think a brief staff report would clarify some of the timing issues that we're looking at. So if you'd like staff to come back with a report out, we would be happy to do that to provide more information.
So what I'm hearing maybe is taking your request, but maybe modifying it with a staff coming back with a staff report on the timing of the committee reviews, so we can make an informed decision on when it is time to take a look at all the different bylaws and things like that. Is that what I'm?
Yes.
Well, that
we
would
can-
give them a sense of when we would need it by, basically.
Right. It would provide clarity over, because the climate action task force was tasked with two items. One, review the proposed climate action plan. And I believe, where is Debbie? I can't see her. She's hiding.
Yeah.
I believe they've completed that review. And then once the climate action plan has been completed and adopted, then they would go and look at a charge. In the meantime, we are reviewing the charges of all committees. And the timelines, I would like the opportunity to hammer out the timelines a little bit further and then present that to the council in a staff report, just to show you where everything is lining up. Because you could, and now, not fully fleshing out our timelines, but you could have this committee discussion before a charge is created, or we could have the charge created as part of this process. It just depends on the timing. So there might be issues with timing, now that I think about it.
Is that okay with you to get a staff report on the whole committee review process? And so we can integrate in there when it would be appropriate to get the climate task force charge.
Well, I think that the whole goal is for that charge to be outlined in time for when it's needed. So I think that if it's an issue of not knowing when that's going to be, and that has to be considered, it's sort of independent of all that. I think what we're saying is what I'm saying is that we bump it up, amend it such that we make encourage them to move forward with laying out the charter so that we have the information needed when we need it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because right now it may not coincide, and that's the whole point. And we want to save. I would assume we want to save time, energy, resources, all those things, and that's why I'm suggesting that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to give a head nod on that, but I will give a head nod on getting a review of the staff report. Get a staff report on the whole process for reviewing all the committees and the timeline to review all the bylaws and consideration of the committees.
But the consideration of the committees was in conjunction with having the chartered information. That's the whole point.
it's just a timeline. We're getting in a discussion.
I mean, I'm trying to
So,
clarify.
We are getting into a discussion, and if we could bring it back to just defining what it is that you'd like to bring before the council on an agendized item.
I think if the whole point is to make sure that we align, that their responsibility for the chartering component is aligned with when you need that, we as a council need that information to be considered along with the other committees that will be up for consideration. That is my motion. That is what I'm asking for. And if I can, if others are okay with that, that'd be great. It's just for efficiency's sake.
Okay, so we can look for the 3 nodding heads on just that, and then if we don't get those, then we can move on to an alternative
Sure.
at that.
So. got it.
Yes,
So I'm seeing
yes.
two nodding heads to sorry, on the microphone, seeing 2 nodding heads to agendize this for the next meeting, that discussion. So a discussion of the timeline for the reviews of the committees and commissions and how the Climate Action Task Force duties align with that, the charge that the council gave them. So I'm
We have a
seeing,
third nodding head.
okay, so we will make sure that we put that item on the next council's agenda.
Thank
Very
you.
good. All right, anything else, any other matters initiated from the council? Okay. All right. Then with that, we have no other business this evening. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.